Welcome back to the Becoming Number One podcast, where our goal and mission is to help you become the best version of yourself while we are on our own pursuit to become the best versions of ourselves. Hello, Aidan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, actually, because what you don't know is that when I edit these, I actually cut out all of your pre-recording singing.
Well,
And one of these days, I might just have to keep it in, or maybe I'll put it at the very end as like a blooper. After the screen cuts black, it'll come back, and it'll be you singing.
you're being very devious right now.
I think that would be appropriate.
You're
Yeah.
being devious.
If there's one thing that you'll learn about his and I relationship, is that there's a lot of chirping, a lot of banter back and forth, but it all really predicates with him. He starts a lot of it. So
What
I think
happened to extreme ownership, Aidan?
sometimes I think it's good to teach somebody, or rather give them a little taste of
Jeez.
their medicine.
Wow.
So,
You woke up and chose violence this morning.
well, sometimes you just do. When you're on a warmongering path to take and achieve and succeed, sometimes you just wake up and you got this fire burning inside of you. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, if I wasn't going to run for president in 2036, I would be saying some harsh things to you right now. But I'm going to hold myself back because I'll be the bigger person here, Aidan,
Okay.
and not say those things.
So be it.
We'll keep this offline.
So a decade from now, huh?
A decade, almost, yeah.
I'm glad you bring that up sometimes, because, it's, once again, I don't like to give my feedback into somebody else's hopes and dreams, and sometimes I wonder if that's still on the table for you.
Yeah,
But it sounds like it is.
depends on where the country is at.
Okay. Well, let's play this out then. If it's in a great place versus it's in a bad place.
Well, if it's in a great place, then no.
Okay.
If it's in a bad place, then yes.
Okay. Why the difference?
Because if it's in a good place, I don't feel like I'd have to go in and lead. But if it's a bad place, I feel like I could come in and I could provide leadership to the country. And I also view the country running it as a business. And I believe in 10 years' time, I will be more than equipped to be able to do that, to run it efficiently, and also lead the American people.
Interesting.
But if there's someone that's a good leader that's in there, someone that has strong policy, someone that has a future and a vision for the United States of America, I'm good.
No need.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
That's just a side quest.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people would say, what in the world is wrong with you? You think that's a side quest? But if you think about it in the way in which you do, I mean, it is. It's not. It's a 4, potentially 8-year period of your life, which, albeit, yes, that's a large chunk of time.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't pale in comparison to, the 5-6 decade
Yep.
period at which, we're out here doing stuff, from 20 to 80.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, if we can still be trugging along past 80, great. But, let's say 20 to 80.
Yeah.
You get 60 years, 8 of that. Yeah, it's a little bit of a side
It's
quest.
just a little side quest, a little
Yeah.
pit stop. But I also look at it like this. If we have someone that is in office that's America first, that will put the American people first, then I don't have a problem with it. But this is where I could fit into the equation. I'm not going to need to come in and make money like most politicians do. Like, I'll be fine. Like, I don't have I won't be able to be bought. I won't be able to be paid for because I've made my own living. So I'm good.
And
I think that is a big reason a lot of people get in politics, because they realize that, hey, my salary might be 175, but I could also get some stock options for these countries, pass these certain policies. And
that's why I like the idea of politicians who are not reliant on the financial providings of the job and instead can just be job first.
Yep.
Right? And
I won't take the salary.
No, and that's to me, I think that speaks of the true purpose and mission. It's either going to be a great one or an evil one. And I mean, with you, sometimes that might still be up in question. But I'll err on the side of a great one.
Well, listen, you know my intentions.
But no, you're absolutely right, and that's funny because you touched on I was still trying to decide which way to take this episode today, and you kind of touched on the two different paths that I was thinking. So now I'm back to square one. But I want to.
Well, I could keep talking about policy if you need me to.
Well, I want to sit on that for a second, because that's an issue, right? Is people, and I just figured out which way we're going to take this. It seems like there's been a shortage of true leadership.
Yes.
Right? In politics at the highest levels, but also even at the lowest levels. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, because I was thinking about this past election cycle, is which elections are you to feel the greatest impact by? And obviously, depending on who's in office and the severity or the severity of change that they're trying to make, you'll feel that at a national level, down at a personal level, but more so, what you feel day to day is the local. I mean, that's what affects the city you live in, the state you live in. I know for us during COVID, it was the governor in Washington that had the greatest impact. Like, was there some federal runoff? Yeah. But a lot of what truly impacted me personally and those that I was around was the governor. Yep. And that's a much more local level. And so there has to be leadership all around the board. But when we're struggling with, these career politicians who start looking for, they're prefacing the money as opposed to what it actually means to hold office, it's an issue.
Yeah, well, for one, there's a couple points on that. For one, you should not make a career out of politics. It should not be a career. It should be a place of service where you get in and you get out. Term limits need to be fixed. It's absolutely insane. How someone could go into to Congress when they're in their 20s, right? You can't run for president when you're in your 20s, but you can get in Congress when you're in your 20s, and then they don't get out until they're 80.
Yeah,
that's 60 years. That should not be a thing. They're putting themselves first, and let's actually talk about that for a second, because if we're talking about leadership, leaders put other people first. They put their team first.
Yeah.
And that is a big thing. If you want to look at it as a country, you want to look at it from a business, you want to look at it for a sports organization, a leader puts everybody first and elevates everybody else. And then in that same time, they also get elevated.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that, because I almost think of it as like the natural cycle of growth. It's like you have this tree sprouting, and then over time, the tree is supposed to kind of help nourish the ground for the next tree to grow, and then it's going to die off, and it's going to let the next thing do its work. Now, at the same time, it almost feels like the incentives need to be different. Because I agree, 60 years in office sounds excessive, mm-hmm. and it's just human nature to want to prioritize yourself at that point, look out for your best interest, in this case, primarily financial interest. Should the incentives be different?
How the fuck are you worth $250 million when your salary is $175,000 a year?
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense.
That's an issue.
And then $80 million, $60 million. It does not make sense. Sorry, it pisses me off. But the interest and the priorities need to be different. They do.
I'd almost be curious as to if, because what is the goal, right? The goal is to enact change. And granted, here the issue with policy is that it's change. It's not necessarily change that's going to benefit everybody. Sometimes it is, but there's going to be certain issues, primarily social, that what you want versus what person B wants, they're going to be different, but it doesn't mean either are right or wrong. And that's something that leaders are going to do. They're going to enact mm-hmm. the change that they stood behind from beginning. I almost think, just off the top of my mind here, is if there should almost be more incentives to be able to enact the change, to lead properly, to build up the next person, and you're incentivized based on that. You're not earning this, let's say, six-figure salary to where you can then leverage your connections and ability pass some bills to be able to make a bunch of money
in that company it's
or to inside trade. You should be incentivized on how well you set up the next and how well you set up change. And maybe that means almost more of like a pension afterwards based on how well you did. that would incentivize somebody getting out. Because why would somebody want to stay in if they don't got anything to look forward to after? So maybe if you make the thing that they look forward to after greater than the interest of staying in, okay.
Here's
Bye-bye.
the problem. There's really no leaders in the government right now. As much as I am a Trump supporter, while he is a leader, there's one key thing that he is lacking right now. And it's being able to unify everybody. There's no unity really in our country anymore. It's one side or the other. That's really it. There's not a huge in between. And your goal as a leader is to paint a vision so big that everybody's dream can fit inside of it. And we need to bring everybody together to work towards that common goal. And that's just not a thing right now. You see Democrats and Republicans fighting left and right nonstop all the time. They hate each other. Like, to have a successful country or a business, you can't have two sides fighting all the time. It does not work like that. And it's not even for good reasons either. It's just out of spite.
That's a really good point. Because the way I see Trump's presidency is, and whether it's a 46, he's now down to 46% approval rating, or if he's backed up to 52, it's basically 50-50. 50% of the country loves him. 50% of the country absolutely hates him. It's as polarized as you get, but you're right, it's not unified. So to half the population, he's the best leader to grace the earth. To the other half, he's the Antichrist. Yeah. And although he's winning on one half, losing on one half, that you're right. Overall, that's not what the kind of the baseline mission of a leader should be. I think unity is a huge one.
Yeah, but politics gets a little bit interesting too, because from what I've noticed, people are just getting more and more and more passionate about it as time goes on. But it also doesn't help that you have mainstream media that's pushing a certain agenda down people's throats, that's painting a picture of division. Because when you have that, it is very hard to unify people. So as much as he tries, it's just not going to be able to. But as a society, we need to get back to a place where, hey, I maybe didn't vote for this guy, but hey, he says he's going to do this. I see that he is doing this. Well, this is how it could benefit my life and the people I love. All right. Well, I don't necessarily like him, but I can get on board with the plan to make this a better place.
The thing that I come back to too, because you're not always going to agree with the decisions people make, but I think we're so quick to jump to judge. Yeah. Right. And I mean, I guess my political piece and opinion here is we've seen this administration for 100 days. And the big thing has been tariffs, right? The second that change got made, everybody was so quick to judge. And I don't think and just like with anything else, I don't think it's played out enough. It's way too early to tell.
It's going to be 2 years before we really see something.
Well, and this is where I think it's too early to tell. Was it actually a failure or was it a good move?
It's a good move. I know it's going to be a good move because it's going to force America first. It's going to force, for one, our taxes are going to come down. Business taxes are going to go down, which is ultimately going to be able to have businesses eat the cost of those tariffs to be able to produce in America. And when they produce in America, they're going to be able to pay their people more. And if we do cut the taxes on that, everybody's eventually going to make more money. So it's going to be a play that's going to take about 2 years to be able to feel. But right now, too, you also have to realize it doesn't matter what side you're on. The Biden economy was not a good economy. It just was not. It wasn't. So it's just not going to magically change in 100 days. It still takes time to get the stock market to go back to where it should be, to get the interest rates to go back to where they need to be, to get inflation down. That's not something that can be done in 100 days. Policies take a long time to actually go in effect.
No, and the way that I've come to understand it, obviously, we know where you sit. I'm definitely more on the middle of the fence of, hey, is this going to be a net positive or a net negative? But I think that, one, we look way too, we can agree on this, we look way too close in timeline, or most people do. We need to zoom that shit way out. And two, there's also second and third order runoff impacts of all of these decisions that most people don't even think about. And sometimes you can't think about them because you don't know what they're going to be until they happen.
Yeah.
And that's why, once again, what you need is time.
Yes.
There's just like what we talked about in a previous episode. We were talking about things that we like about businesses, green flags that they do and red flags that they do. And one that you said is setting realistic expectations. Instead of somebody saying, oh yeah, the second you pay for my service, you're going to be getting this, this, and this. Versus somebody says, hey, I want you to expect that for the first 3 months, this is going to cost money.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see the fruits of your labor.
Correct.
After that is when it happens.
Well, and that's exactly what he did too.
It's the same way with it. I see it the same way as this. It's going to be a delayed gratification, or it's going to be a delayed negative. One way or another, it's delayed.
Yeah. If they do everything they say they're going to do with the tariffs, because the big part is cutting our taxes, and if that is the case, they do cut our taxes, it'll be fun.
And that's actually, I'm glad you said that, because that's the other thing is, if you got to take it, I prefer to take things at face value, because it'd be living a cynical life to not. But they say, the administration says, hey, the whole reason why we're doing this is so that ultimately we can cut your taxes. Okay, that's not going to happen overnight. That needs to play out. So let it play out.
Yep.
If it happens, then there you go. They fulfilled their promise. If it doesn't happen, then you can look at them and say, you didn't fulfill your promise. But you can't, that's not going to happen in 100 days. So you can't make a decision on it until it's had enough time to play out. And as we get not too much in the weeds, it's what I want to talk about today, which was ultimately, what does it mean to be a leader? And what's the difference between being a leader and just being a loud personality? Because I think in a world in which leadership is becoming more and more rare, more and more the exception, how do you differentiate what is what?
Well, it's what you talked about the other day in the previous episode is, are their actions aligning with their words? It's that simple. You can be as loud as you want to be. You can be the loudest person on earth, but if you back it up with the action and you doing the things that you say you're going to do, it doesn't matter.
Fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's really that simple. Do their actions match their words or not? It's that simple.
I think that's a huge part of it. I hadn't even thought about this till you said it though, which was unity though. What does it mean to be a leader? It's part of it is to have a vision great enough so that everybody who you are leading can have their own vision fit within the mission.
Yep.
It's almost like taking his vision, her vision, their vision, putting it all together and having a vision so big that everybody gets what they want. Okay, so it's that. But what is that, when you think about it, what does that also do? It unifies people.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have a different vision from you, we can all still work towards the same thing to where you're going to get what you want and you're going to get what you want.
Yeah.
That's going to bring people together, and I think that's really important. And it doesn't matter if you're loud. It doesn't matter if you're doing it the quiet way. What matters is, are you actually fulfilling the duties and roles of what it means to be a leader?
Well, let's talk about America in this, the unifying section of it. If I am a leader, right, the biggest thing in America is the American dream. That's what the American people want.
Yeah.
The American dream, being able to buy a house, retire, not be financially stressed.
Yeah.
Right? It's the American dream. And everyone wants to prosper. There's no one that wants to be like,
I just want to, ease by.
I just want to live on the streets. Truly, deep down in your heart, it doesn't matter if you're homeless or not, you desire a better life for yourself. And we'll call it the American dream in this case. And what I see this administration doing, where they're trying to unify, is, hey, we're going to do the tariffs because eventually that's going to be the tax revenue, and that's going to cut our taxes, which is going to put more money in our pockets, which is also going to bring more money to America, which is ultimately going to lead to higher paying jobs, and we're going to cut interest rates, right? So someone can go buy a house. Someone does have more money. Someone can afford the groceries. Someone can live the American dream. So I see where they're trying to do it, because they're saying the golden age of America, right? Mm-hmm. Bringing that back. I can see where they're trying to do it, but there needs to be more repetition on it. Hey, this is what we're doing. Hey, this is where we're going. all the time.
I agree. I think if we're going to dive into that, even just briefly.
Yeah. Well, that's just an example of the unify, like to bring unity to people, to paint the vision on, how everyone fits in it.
I think allowing people to, if there is a common dream, which, like you said, it's the American dream, to own a house, to be able to spend time with your family, to not be living paycheck to paycheck, to basically get taken care of after you put your due time in. Everybody wants that, and it's going to look different for everybody, but everybody wants that basic type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a good path to get there is minimizing taxes, for the sake that's just going to put more money in your pocket if things are done right. But once again, I think you also need. I go back and forth between having a strong and loud figure versus a strong but quiet figure. Because the issue that we face right now in this administration, truthfully, is we have a very polarizing figure at the helm. And polarizing in this sense doesn't do good for unity. Even if the administration and the things that they are doing are actually working towards a unified front, if the person at the helm is not seen as a unifying piece, it's going to be really difficult. Is it impossible? I don't think anything's impossible. Well, yeah, I don't speak in absolutes, but damn hard. And I think that's, once again, a leader should be somebody who can, at the end of the day, pull themselves back if it is what is better. Yeah. And I think they have to look at it is, we start with words. What is your word as a leader? I want to unify people. I want to create this dream. I want to enact this vision. I want to do this, this, and this. Then their actions follow suit. And sometimes what the actions mean are, hey, sometimes you're going to pull back the reins. Maybe you're going to let somebody else take the helm. Maybe you're going to do all these other things. To me, that is true leadership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can also unify people through results as well.
Yeah. And that's
results.
And sometimes I think
that's what it's going to have to be in this case. In this administration, it's only going to come from the results. That's it. From people realizing, oh, hey, well, listen, my life's actually kind of better than it was 3 years ago, right?
I agree. I think results.
Putting more money in my pocket. Maybe this guy isn't that bad. Yeah, he's loud. He's annoying, right? I don't like him. He's orange, but. My life's quality.
But the results are there.
Yeah,
exactly. And I agree. I think that's exactly what it has to be too. And I think this is actually a good thing. This is the last of 2 terms, which means if he's able to make this change, have the results, but then be able to pass the baton maybe to a less polarizing figure.
Yeah, well, that's his plan.
That's
right?
To me, that is more so leadership.
Literally, this is the exact plan right here. This is why they were so quick within the first 100 days signing all the executive orders, trying to get all the policies in place. So around 2 years, they can start to feel, the American people can start to feel the benefit of those policies that they put in place. So the plan is, hey, those next 2 years, right, the last 2 years of his term, people are feeling great, and then his person that he chooses, right, to be his successor, they're running with his plan to keep it going. Because it's not just a 4-year plan. It can't be just a 4-year plan. Because if that's the case, it's going to die out very fast. But Correct. It's to get the American people to realize, hey, my life is better right now than it was in the last administration. So this next person that he's saying that is going to be the next leader to continue this plan, I want to vote for him to continue my quality of life like this. That's the plan.
I'll take your word for it. The only thing I'd throw in there is not just the person he chooses, but the person that, America chooses. And it has to be, in my view, a person who still maintains the vision of America first.
Yeah, well, look at J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance isn't a Pocahontas type person, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Pocahontas?
I don't, actually.
Elizabeth Warren, she said she was Indian when she's not. Oh. So he calls her Pocahontas. But J.D. Vance is the complete opposite of Trump in a sense. Very calm, cool, collected.
Not very loud, yeah.
Yeah, not loud, but America first, and will get his point across in a very delightful manner. So,
and that more so I agree with.
Yeah.
Well, this was good for David. He got to air out I'll tell you this. David would love to do a political piece, which is good, though. I think part of this, too, is finding something that we're passionate about and running with it. And hopefully this gave you a little bit more insight into my mind, his mind, how we see things. Because at the end of the day, I think we need to get back to being able to hear people out on their pieces as opposed to just judging the shit out of them when it doesn't align with exactly what you think. That's not how you grow. Not how you grow as a person, not how you grow as a society, not how you grow as a world. So I think we need to get back to listening to people and understanding, you know what? You actually made some good points. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Trump, you can come on the pod anytime you want. Anytime.
Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Trump, I would actually very much welcome that.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting figure.
I'd have Kamala on the podcast.
I would do the same.
Yeah.
I'd have just about fucking any notable person.
I don't care if we have different viewpoints. I still, I can have a conversation with somebody. That's the problem today, by the way. I'm just going to take a couple more seconds here.
Take it, run it.
There's so much division because people cannot have conversations anymore. And it is okay to have different viewpoints than somebody else and still be friends with them. That is completely fine. It doesn't matter what you think or what you believe. I can believe something different and we can still have a conversation like adults. And that is the problem that we had in society today, where people cannot have conversations about it with getting super emotional and crashing out.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And actually the thing that I'd tie on to that is we should be able to have different beliefs, but still work towards a common goal.
Correct.
And that's hugely missing. If we can't even have conversations about different beliefs, how in the world are we supposed to, how can we even fantasize about working together as a nation to get to a common goal?
Yep.
Can't. Exactly. And that needs to change.
Yep.
Big time. So ask yourself this. Because I think this is something that I want you to keep in mind as you listen to this and hear our political pieces and whatnot. But are you being a leader in your life? Because we've said this time and time again, you are a leader, whether it just be to one person or whether it be to millions. You're a leader to somebody. So ask yourself this, are you truly being a leader or are you just being a loud piece?